Good afternoon, dear comrades. May I add a word of welcome to that of the National Chairperson and to all of you, by the way. And then I would like to underline that I too am the outgoing President of the Congress of the People. I have said many times before that I think we must always sing about the Congress of the People and not about one or the other leaders of the Congress of the People. Because the party is there, will be there, individual leaders come and go. So when we say, kambe sisithini Comrade Ntongana ngase Eastern Cape ikhophi yaphila akisishemi akisho labantu kuthi ikhophi yaphi labantu kuthi ikhophi yaphi Amanda! Yeah, that is a more appropriate song because the mission of our party is a long one. It's the one that we can only achieve as we build and strengthen among the people of our country this great organization which has come from the great history of the people of South Africa. And I'm thrilled this afternoon to be able to say to you that the Congress of the People has begun to develop roots amongst all sections and tribes and races of the population of our country. We have said to the people of South Africa, and we are going to be saying to them even more firmly in the coming period, that we are South Africans first. We are South Africans first, all of us. We are South Africans first. And then only thereafter, we might be one or the other tribe, we might be one or the other race, but we are South Africans first. Can we say that? We are South Africans first, and then only thereafter are we Basotho, AmaZulu, AmaXhosa, AmaKhoi, AmaNdiya, and so on and so on. But we are South Africans first. That is the message of the Congress of the People. Nor did we start it off. We inherited it from that great generation of South Africans who converged on Kliptown in '55 when they said, we want a South Africa that belongs to all who live in it. And then the authors of our national constitution, the present national constitution, added, united in our diversity. A South Africa that belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. So we speak English, we speak Afrikaans, we speak Sotho, we speak Xhosa. We speak all the languages of our country. including those who are not so well developed as all that, we are South Africans first. Even the international community, they don't know. If you say to them, this tribe or the other tribe, if you say this, they say, man, which city were you born in? Oh, I was born in Port Elizabeth. Look, man, you are South African, man. Don't come here with these other things we don't know what you are talking about. You are a South African. The whole world understands us as that. This, as the national chairperson has said, is the second national Congress of the People. And the function of this political report is first to remind the leaders, members and supporters of the Congress of the People, of the mission of our party. You have always to remember the mission of the party. If there are new ones, we must ensure that we inform them in a major meeting of this nature what that mission was. That mission is to defend the Constitution of our country. Secondly, the function of this mission, of this report, is to sketch the path which we have traveled over the years since our inception. And thirdly, to enable the Congress to determine the way forward for the party and our contribution or intended contribution in the path our country will travel going forward. Now, in 2008, when we formed the Congress of the People, many would not have realized. But we had understood that the national state, the modern national state called South Africa, was first brought into being by the British Parliament in 1910 when it passed the Act of Union of South Africa. But it was not a complete creation because it did not give the people of South Africa equal political rights as citizens of this country. And that imposed upon us, the people of South Africa, the task of completing the creation of this national state. The struggle we waged in the teens of the century, in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s, the 50s, right through until 1994, was a struggle to complete the creation, the formation of the national state known as the Republic of South Africa today. Starting as the Union of South Africa, it became the Republic, and so on and so on. Now, it is a democratic republic of the people of South Africa, with everybody having equal rights and all of that. It took a long, long journey to get here, and yet that task is not yet complete. For we are struggling now to eliminate, under these conditions, that the remnants of that sad period that we went through. And I started this report and I say to you, in a few months' time, the curtain of history will come down on this, the Republic, Democratic Republic of South Africa. It started as a very enthusiastic, very proud, very happy republic, committed and excited about the constitution we had just adopted after Codesa. But today, the picture on which the curtain of history will come down is the gloomiest we could ever have imagined. And some of the features of that gloomy picture are the following. At this time, we are led by an illegitimate president. At this time, where we started with the most celebrated freedom fighter of our time, who was very sensitive to the provisions of our Constitution, who even when he was summoned to appear before court, said, I will not resist. I will be the first one to teach South Africans that the Constitution of our country is the supreme law of the land, and I will not defy the judiciary created under our democratic Constitution. And went to take his oath and met his obligation. But today, we have and we are led by a president who broke his oath of office already before he even became a president. As part of the caucus of the governing party, after the Constitutional Court, the Supreme Court of our nation, had declared that former President Zuma had broken his oath of office. The current president led the caucus of the governing party to say he has done nothing wrong, in spite of the provisions of the Constitution that it is the supreme law of the land, and that anybody who does anything inconsistent with the Constitution is in violation. Today we are led by a president who is leading the attack on the Constitution, having taken an oath of office to obey, respect, uphold, and maintain the Constitution. Our present president came back the following night to say to the country, I will be taking some of your properties and giving it to our people, in spite of the declaration of the Constitution in Section 3, that there is a common South African citizenship, and every citizen is entitled to the same rights, privileges, and benefits of citizenship. That is the leadership we have. But more than that, we are being legislated upon by a legislature that is long broken its oath of office and was found by the Constitutional Court, the apex court of our country, found that this legislature also broke its oath of office. That is who's governing us. Continue. I don't know what is the value of the laws that they're making. I don't know what to make of it. But that is the picture on which the curtain of history comes down on our country today. It is a picture in which significant number of citizens, Andries Tatane, Marikana, mine workers, Muthutlong residents, and so on, have lost their lives under the present government. The governing party has taken lives of our people, in spite of Section 11 of the Constitution, which says everyone has a right to life. It's a picture under which we cannot but ask ourselves the question: if that is Section 11 remains in the Constitution of our country, who in the executives of the governing party has found it possible to give themselves the power to take the lives of innocent citizens in Vicksburg, in Marikana, in Motlotlong, and so on? Who in the governing party has given themselves the power to take the lives of the people of our country when even the highest courts are not allowed to pass the death sentence? That is the picture on which the curtain of history is coming down on our people in this country today. Indeed, that is not all. Year after year, we budget in Parliament resources to look after the people of this country, especially the young, the sick, the elderly, so that they may be looked after. And yet, the governing party of our country has found it possible to take the decision that it will save some of the money budgeted by Parliament to look after the people who are mentally deranged and throw them on the streets all over the place so that they lose lives, more than 140, some of whom we still don't know their names and so on. That is what has become of the great democracy we negotiated and agreed on at CODESA. And here's a very strange thing. With all of those examples, there has never been once one of the members of the executives of the government of the governing party who's been brought to the courts of our nation to account for the lives of these people that have lost their lives in the hands of this, our so-called democratic government. I'm sad to say, not one executive. It is impossible for the police to shoot anybody. Somebody must give a command. Somebody who has executive powers must give a command that that should be done. Where are the men and women who wield that power in our society, who are in the government and occupying those executive positions? Why are they not being put before the courts of our nation to explain their actions? Who is defending them? Why are they being protected? What is the difference between that and what used to happen to so many of our comrades who died whilst we struggled for freedom at the hands of the apartheid police? What is the difference? And then we would be told that they slipped on a piece of soap or they fell from the 10th floor of John Foster Square. What's the difference between these two? That is the picture on which the curtain of history is coming down on the 5th democratic parliament of our nation, where orders were given that concomitant force should be applied on the citizens who were asking, on the workers who were asking for a living wage at Marikana. That picture, we must understand, is a critical element of the report we are giving to you today of what has happened and what is happening. And under the present leadership of our country, relations between our racial and tribal formations have become strained. Contrary to the successes previously attained under the first, second, and third terms of democratic government. It is also under the present leadership that South Africa rubbished and violated international codes, such as the Rome Statutes, which are the foundations upon which the International Criminal Court is founded and functions. Today, those who violate the rights of their own people, kill them in their own countries, can run into this country, have a good time, and then go out. We have failed to meet the obligations we accepted under the Rome Statutes. This picture of us violating international law has begun to make our position among the nations of the world doubted and doubtful. Today, nations of the world are no longer looking to us to make the interventions we made earlier in the DRC, in the Côte d'Ivoire, in the Sudan, in the genocide of Rwanda. We can no longer now be welcomed, easily welcomed, because we have become an uncertain customer. By breaking international codes, we've painted ourselves into a certain corner. And we are a source of ridicule and contempt in the face of other nations of the world. I take this opportunity to remind Congress and the South African people that it was when we noticed that there was a growing tendency to undermine the supremacy of the Constitution and the rule of law that we served divorce papers on the governing party, because we were determined to be guardians of our constitutional and democratic order. We will never, never abandon that route which the leading figures in that anti-apartheid struggle taught us, which the leading figures who spend their lives, the remaining years of their lives with us in the prisons of our country, years and years, educating, orienting, reminding us again and again that the struggle for justice knows no color. That when we look at human beings, if I may borrow Martin Luther King Jr.'s words, we must not judge human beings on the color of their skin, or their height, or their obesity. We must judge the individuals and human beings on the content of their character. That's what made us call the late Bears Nodie comrade bears. That's how we came Bram Fisher and called him Comrade Brahm, because he went with us to jail to say to those who were in power at that time, we cannot be human beings if we treat our darker complexioned counterparts as animals. And President Mandela was to remind us in the confines of Robben Island that at any time in future, when moments will come, you must never forget those men and women like Helen Suzman, who came here and sought to help improve our conditions, or Ruth First, who gave her life for us. You must always remember that in the darkest hours of our lives, there were men and women from all sections of South Africa who chose to go down with us so that we may become part of the common human beings. That time has come to us in the Congress of the People, those who are calling for killing 5 whites for every black and all of that. Those are the enemies of today, of the people. Today the time has come that we must say to them, you may be blacker than me or as black as I am, but you are not my comrade. My comrade is this man and this woman, whatever their complexion, who want that this constitution must become the order of the day. We are fewer. Today we are fewer. The word non-racial, our members must really understand, comrades. The word non-racial means I do not judge you by your race or your color or that. That when you come into the Congress of the People, whether you are white, of Indian origin, and so on and so on, you are my comrade. Yes. If you accept the policies of the Congress of the People, you are my comrade. And if your life is in danger, I place mine to be in danger first and yours afterwards. I take this opportunity to remind Congress and the South African public that it was when we noticed these things that we decided that we cannot hide among the majority that fills up stadia whilst they are planning and plotting to attack the minorities within our society. So we announced at that time that we refused to be party to violations of the Constitution by the governing party. Needless to say, this trend has spread to other areas of governance, such as the unlawful misappropriation of public funds spent in the private residences of the president of the time. Additional, that those who refused to collaborate in these things were jettisoned out of government and other areas of work. And some were even sent to other countries to go and be ambassadors away from here. Our Constitution has been violated constantly and consistently. The evidence before the Zondo Commission is alarming. In showing, not as an accident, a systematic practice, a systematic impoverishment of people, citizens who pay tax, who had nothing, no homes, who go to jail and locked up there so that a few rich and whatever else you can say could be paid extra millions every day, whom we thought were working for the people. Our constitution was violated with impunity and in full view of the people. On the home front, increasingly deprived members of society protested. Election after election passed with promises that never turned into reality. How is it that to this day, no members of our community are coming out of Soweto into homes, are coming out of squatter camps? Instead, squatter camps are increasing every day. Bigger numbers of our people, in spite of the provision of Section 26, that everyone is entitled to adequate housing, and that the state must take steps to ensure that the people have housing. It's Section 26 of the Constitution. Why is it that the squatter camps are increasing in leaps and bounds? I saw one of the current ruling members of the governing party. His houses are being taken because he converted them into all the corrupt money that was taken and so on. Our people have nothing. So it is these issues. That is where we traveled. And you have to remember that the Congress of the People has consistently raised its voice with regard to these issues, to say this was not the freedom that we were struggling for and something else should have been done. You, the members of the Congress of the People, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Some people say it's a small party, it's a dying party. Some people say that, and some of you are even shy to put on your T-shirts, or some of the leaders also are a bit ashamed to put on the T-shirts of COPE. No. If you do that, you don't understand the mission. And you don't understand revolution. Jesus Christ, the leading revolutionary of the modern period, led a revolution with 12. And then still lost one, but went on. Look at the Christian movement today around the world, because the message was right. When the message is right, comrades, there's no way you can defeat that movement. When the message is right, comrades, it conquers every little story, every little bribe organization. You're going to sink it. You'll see how many are going to come out of this whole thing, of Bosasa. I see some presidents are sponsored now by Bosasa. Others are sponsored by VBS. The tears of the poor, the tears of the elderly, the tears of the unsuspecting, trusting human beings give their last savings to these fat cats and then gone with the money. It's easy to put on a red overall and pretend you are bloody and then you give yourself a name. I am a commander, I am a this, and so on. In which military academy did you study? In which military academy were you trained? I used to be the Minister of Defense of this country. You cannot be a general, you can't be a commander, you can't be that, you can't be a soldier if you didn't undergo certain military training. President Mandela was the commander of MK. He trained in Algeria before he was a commander. In which one did you train? And President Mandela never stole any money from any mutual bank. Why are you a general that steals from from the poor, a mutual bank. Too many are those who shout at the top of their mouth about how COPE is weak. We're not weak. The poor people who need our support, who need our assistance and our leadership, are looking for us. And every day, they are discovering us. They are seeing us. And every day, their numbers coming towards us is increasing. And I say this today, I fear no man, and I mean no doubt whatsoever that the Congress of the people, and I support what the national chairperson said, is the party of the future. Yes. What we are seeing in the Zondo Commission is the last days of the old man. Yeah, it's a challenge between an old man and a young fellow. The young fellows also, when they walk, you know, they walk, and then they fall. But with every rise, their knees are becoming stronger. The old guys walk. With every fall, they can no longer do that, so they must get a kiri, so they can walk with this. But this Congress of the People, this is the young political child of South Africa. This child is becoming stronger every day. This child will fall. But when this child stands up, the knees are stronger. The knees are stronger. And you see, these are disappearing into history. The Congress of the People is on the rise, and we must go now. The challenge, the big question now that arises, and I summarize this, what is it that we ought to be doing? First of all, we have to go and tell our people, your future is with the Congress of the People. Please come and join the party of the future, because as that emblem says, inside that circle is all the people of South Africa. Those are the colors of the national flag, with the red at the top and all of that. With that cross, we have made a cross with the green. That is your right to vote. Exe is my voice. Exe, the people must want peace. So we are in there all locked up, and that white band outside is the peace we negotiated under President Mandela and Oliver Tambo at CODESA. That peace binds all of us, the people of South Africa, into one. And there we are with those colors, and it binds us together. And out of that is the black band, which represents the continent of Africa. And it says the future of this country is bound together with the future of our continent. So we must go and say to our people, Exe, we don't want people who steal your money. Exe, vote for us. Vote for us. We understand that we are not the VIPs. You, the people, are the VIPs. We must go and say to the people of our country, we want you to vote for us so that we go to government. We will never forget that the money you pay in tax is your money. It comes to us. Our duty is to return it to you in the form of services, in the form of education for your children, in the form of homes, and so on. We do not think that money you are paying is for us to buy Mercedes-Benzes and all of that. We grew up walking on food. We are your children, and we want you to know that your sweat has transformed society so that you can go to your graves proud of the new future we will build. And you can go to your graves satisfied that you have not only seen the green pastures, but you've seen your children walk on those green pastures. That is the road into the future. We need to say to our people, please vote all these thieves and briberies and all of them. Vote them out. There are men and women who are trustworthy. Please vote them in. And we would be very, very happy if you include us, because we want to go there and help in changing that situation there. Even going after all of your money that's been stolen, will bring it back so that it can do for you a better life, and a better life for all. That challenge is very critical. And don't talk in complicated sentences and English and all of. If people speak closer to them and tell them in the mother tongue. As hulle Afrikaans praat, sê dit in Afrikaans. Mense sal verstaan. En as hulle dit verstaan, dan weet hulle kan jou vertrou. We need this kind of thing. If it's vendor, if it's this, we must talk in these languages. Here, there's no language that is not represented in this meeting. We send the ones there, we send the others here. Where we need to, we must learn those languages quickly and then talk to the people. We must be the true servants of the people. Do what the people need, not what you need. Because once you say the people must do for you, then you are the VIP and they are for you. It cannot be this way. We must go and work for the people. COPE, therefore, the reasons and values which informed the establishment of COPE over a decade ago are even more relevant today, and everybody is increasingly understanding that. Yesterday, people were telling me also in Bloemfontein, we want to renew our commitment to the constitutional order, and we want to take our country to that route that we started with under Mandela. We need ethical, bold, and brave, accountable, incorruptible, progressive political leadership, which will enable, unite, and galvanize all South Africans around a plan to reverse the damage done and place us on a path towards a better life for all. So I say to you, my dear comrades, we call on all like-minded political parties, civil society, trade unions, formations, and other citizens to all together join with us on a limited program of objectives that will enable us to go to government and change the damage, correct the mistakes made by those evil men and women. And we have to say, in the words of President Mandela, the good men and the good women in our society must be put one side, and they must be given the mandate. They must go and correct what the evil men and evil women did. I thank you.